No one was prepared for the heartbreak, and even fewer were ready for what Jaleel White did next. As news of Malcolm-Jamal Warner's sudden and tragic passing sent shockwaves through the entertainment world, fans were left reeling. But it was Jaleel, the man so many remember as Steve Urkel, who stunned everyone with a tribute that was unlike anything anyone expected. It wasn't just a farewell, it was raw, it was haunting, and it held a secret message that only true fans of Malcolm would catch and never forget. This wasn't just another celebrity reaction, this was a cry from the soul. Jaleel's words weren't polished or rehearsed. They were filled with sorrow, regret, and something deeper, a hint at untold pain and memories we never knew the two shared. In this video, we dive into the tribute that silenced social media, unpack the hidden meanings in Jaleel's emotional message, and explore the bond between two Black TV icons whose legacies shaped a generation. What Jaleel revealed might just change how you remember Malcolm forever. And trust me, this wasn't just a tribute. It was a confession that shook the very foundation of 90s television fandom. What Jaleel White shared wasn't filtered, polished, or safe. It was raw pain, woven with memories and secrets that had never seen the light of day. The world had just lost Malcolm-Jamal Warner, the brilliant actor who brought Theo Huxtable to life, in a tragic drowning that left fans reeling. But behind the headlines, something deeper was unfolding, and no one felt the loss more profoundly than Jaleel White, his longtime friend and fellow TV legend, best known as Steve Urkel. Now Jaleel has broken his silence, and what he revealed has left fans speechless. Through emotional footage, cryptic symbolism, and deeply personal words, his tribute wasn't just a goodbye, it was a window into a bond the public never truly understood. Was there more to their friendship than the cameras ever captured? Why did Jaleel choose now to reveal so much? In this video, we're diving deep into the tribute that has everyone talking, and once you hear the full story, you'll never look at either of these men the same way again. We'll go over the entire tribute, unravel its underlying meanings, re-examine the complex relationship between Malcolm and Jal, and unearth startling incidents from their past that have never been made public before. At the very end, Jaleel made an admission you won't believe. Additionally, a portion of the tribute was inexplicably removed. But we know the specifics. This isn't just another Hollywood tribute, so take a seat. It becomes personal at this point. This is the real deal. The entertainment industry as a whole stopped when word leaked out of Malcolm-Jamal Warner's passing. Co-stars, filmmakers, and fans from all around the world started to pay their respects. However, it was Jaleel White's subtly conveyed black and white Instagram remark that touched a nerve in an unexpected way. It was a simple post, just a picture, no headlines, no filters. An old grainy photo shows him and Malcolm backstage at a Teen Awards presentation, laughing, arms draped over one another's shoulders, youthful, vibrant features. You were the only one who truly understood what it felt like to smile for cameras while breaking inside. The caption said, "This one hurts more than anyone will ever understand. I never expressed enough gratitude for providing me with sanctuary when I needed it. Yet I can still hear your voice begging me to wait, to carry a show and still feel invisible." No tags, no remarks, just unadulterated pain. Stunned reactions from fans filled the comments section. Did they have a backstory? Someone inquired. Trauma bonding is what this sounds like. Someone else added their voice. He seems to be talking about something more profound, as if they were each other's lifeline. This was the most vulnerable Jal had ever been in public. He had maintained a high level of secrecy over the years, particularly in his emotional life. Fans were then left wondering what the true struggles these two faced behind the spotlight were when he spoke in this manner about Malcolm. Whispers of industry insiders soon followed. People think it was all glitz and glam for those two, but they were fighting demons. Fame was brutal, especially for young Black actors back then. The pressure, the racism, the fear of fading away, said an unidentified former NBC executive who worked with both actors in the early 1990s. They relied on one another more than anyone realized. What was left unsaid in Jaleel's tribute, the silence in between the lines, the hurt, the guilt, the potential regrets made it even more tragic. Had they drifted apart prior to Malcolm's passing? Were there unfinished conversations? Was this message more than just a message of mourning, but a confession? Many fans believed Jal's last line, long before social media gave fans a glimpse into celebrities' everyday lives. some Hollywood relationships flourish quietly out of the spotlight, away from the cameras, and rooted in something real. This one hurts more than anyone will ever know. It was a secret that only he and Malcolm shared. Up next, we peel back the layers on what may have been one of the biggest unspoken tragedies between them, the silent years. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Malcolm-Jamal Warner and Jaleel White crossed paths at numerous television events, award shows, and youth empowerment campaigns. Although the public viewed them as two distinct celebrities from two different shows, The Cosby Show and Family Matters, few realized they shared a deeply personal bond that spanned decades. Malcolm and Jal had grown up under the crushing weight of early fame, with millions of people watching their every move and networks building billion-dollar franchises off their backs. However, there was something much more personal that brought them together: the pressure of being Black teen icons in an industry that didn't know how to protect them. Behind the scenes, Jaleel and Malcolm were known to rely on one another for support. In times of tabloid scandal, family loss, or mental health crises, Jaleel and Malcolm weren't just friends, they were brothers in survival. Jaleel once told a close source that Malcolm was one of the only people who ever got it, not just the fame, but the responsibility. What most fans didn't see, though, was how their relationship was put to the test during difficult career stretches. Jaleel was the one who urged Malcolm to continue writing when his music career wasn't getting much attention, and Malcolm was the one who reminded him that he was valuable in ways that went far beyond his role as Steve Urkel, who was constantly made fun of for being a stereotypical Steve Urkel. Behind the bright lights and sitcom success, Malcolm-Jamal Warner and Jaleel White's bond wasn't built on industry glam. Perhaps that's why this tribute from Jal hit so hard. It's not just about the death of a co-star, but about losing a friend who knew his soul, someone who was with him in the quiet moments in the shadow of Hollywood lights. As the years went by, something changed. Many fans assumed they remained close throughout adulthood because they both carried iconic Nines roles and faced similar pressures. It was based on survival, late-night phone calls, shared frustrations, and the quiet understanding that they were both young, Black, typecast, and emotionally spent. The truth is revealed by insiders, however, and a rift quietly developed between them, not because of scandal or jealousy, but because of life. One of Malcolm's former assistants came forward anonymously, and although they didn't have a falling out or have a major argument, life moved quickly. Jal pursued other endeavors, while Malcolm immersed himself in music and directing. Some say the silence was mutual, while others whispered that it was rooted in pain. Keep in mind that both men carried the emotional scars of being cast as comic relief while their personal struggles were ignored, and they were under pressure from fans, networks to always represent Black excellence. Gradually, their calls decreased, their texts decreased, and neither of them really knew how to break the silence. But in private, they were both having a hard time making ends meet. According to insiders, Malcolm didn't even make an effort to reach out when Jaleel appeared on Dancing with the Stars in 2012, and Jal was quiet when Malcolm released his jazz album later that year. The silence was deafening for two men who had previously relied on one another, and then the rumors started. According to a former Hollywood manager, Jal believed Malcolm had changed, saying something along the lines of, "He's too deep now." He seemed to have abandoned television. Malcolm believed that Jal was always trying to prove something, and that it wasn't hate but rather hurt, wounds, misunderstandings, pride, and sometimes even ego. When Malcolm passed away, Jaleel's post was more than just a tribute. It was a cry and a heartbreaking admission that he never got to say goodbye or clear the air. Whatever it was, it prevented them from picking up the phone, and eventually, that silence lasted for more than 10 years until now. The silence they both maintained for so long became the thing he would regret most, and fans felt that pain deeply. "You can tell he's crying through every word," one admirer said on Jal's homage. "It's not for the general public. For Malcolm's soul, this is." In the glitzy world of Hollywood, phone conversations are frequently used for business purposes, a press run, a promo, or a pitch. However, none of that was the case when Malcolm-Jamal Warner and Jal White last communicated. It was brief, uncomfortable, and definitive. According to others close to Jal, there was no warmth or nostalgia in their most recent genuine chat. The check-in was tense and filled with superficial conversation. It occurred about 4 years ago, following the unexpected death of a close friend. Unaware that it would be his last time hearing Malcolm's voice, Jal extended a respectful hand to him. One industry insider offered this information. Jal said it was strange. It felt cold, but he thought Malcolm would be more approachable. Malcolm was a different person. He became increasingly introspective and reclusive. He sounded spiritually as well as physically exhausted. For years, Jaleel was plagued by that silent connection, not because they quarreled or said anything nasty, but rather because they said nothing sincere, just banter. Man, just look after yourself. Then there was quiet. Let's fast forward to the present. Malcolm has left. A close relative confirmed that there was a shock drowning occurrence. The world let out a gasp. Hollywood lamented. However, Jaleel broke. They didn't curate his homage. It lacked polish. It was uncooked. An Instagram version of a gut punch. A frantic flood of sorrow, remorse, and silence. One line from his message looked like this: "I regret not calling you back. I regret not expressing to you how much you meant to me. Man, we were children. We were children attempting to maintain our composure. Just pain, no hashtags, no emojis." And that suffering struck a chord with fans of many ages, particularly those who grew up watching The Cosby Show and Family Matters. These weren't merely fictional figures. These were our early years. And now one was gone, and the weight of everything that had been said was causing the other to crumble. Another follower said, "Why do we wait until it's too late? This ain't a celebrity post. This is a man mourning his brother in public. I feel this in my soul." We should all take Jal's message as a wake-up call, a haunting reminder of how life can tear people apart in silence until all that's left is silence and a final memory that never gets a second chance. Even Malcolm's own family reportedly reached out to Jal after the post, thanking him for speaking his truth and acknowledging that Malcolm often spoke of Jal with deep affection, even if they were no longer close. Two names come to mind when we think of the 1980s and 1990s television era as the epitome of Black excellence in family sitcoms. Jaleel White as Steve Urkel in Family Matters and Malcolm-Jamal Warner as Theo Huxtable in The Cosby Show. These were the young, lovable, nerdy, but endearing sons that America welcomed into their homes on a weekly basis. Despite their worldwide fame, both actors were typecast, finding it difficult to land roles outside of their iconic characters. Hollywood had squeezed everything it could out of these young Black stars, then abandoned them. However, something more sinister began when the cameras stopped rolling. Hollywood's silent rejection. For years, directors would give him credit for his previous work, but reject him for anything that didn't fit the Cosby boy mold. Malcolm's deep voice, maturity, and even poetic talent were disregarded. So he turned to directing, music, and low-budget independent films, not voluntarily, but because he had no other option. According to a former coworker, Malcolm possessed range. Hollywood never gave him a chance, even though he had the potential to be a major dramatic actor. Even worse, Malcolm's reputation suffered collateral damage after The Cosby Show legacy was marred by Bill Cosby's scandals. Casting agents refused to interact with anyone connected to the show, and he became a ghost in an industry he helped create. Jaleel White, "You're just Urkel." Jaleel's story was no different. Despite all the jokes and catchphrases, Urkel became a curse. He was Urkel at every meeting, public appearance, and audition. Producers couldn't see him as anything else. And worse, many made fun of his attempts to transition out of the role. Critics even treated his roles in independent films and serious dramas as jokes. "They didn't want me unless I had the suspenders on. I couldn't be anyone else in their eyes. I wasn't Jal. I was just a punchline." He tried voice acting, writing, and even starting his own cannabis brand. Jaleel once admitted in an uncut interview that he was pigeonholed by the very character that made him famous. Two stars, one industry that failed them. And the saddest part is that neither man ever publicly criticized the industry, even when they were in pain. However, behind closed doors, there was pain, anger, and discussions with friends and family about what could have been. He did find some success, but it wasn't the kind of Hollywood respect he had earned. Malcolm was especially disillusioned in the past 10 years. According to insiders, the emergence of streaming gave younger actors reboots and second chances. But no one called him no Theo Huxtable memoir, no Cosby Show documentary, and that silence is what broke him. Jaleel said in his tribute that Malcolm never received the flowers he deserved. Fans are demanding a proper tribute. Since the news of Malcolm's death broke, fans have been calling for a proper tribute. He remained humble while this business forgot about him. And it's true, Hollywood has a long troubling history of discarding black talent once the spotlight dims, especially those who rose to fame young and dared to age with dignity. It's disgusting that you gave Corey Matthews a reunion and Screech a tribute, but not Theo Huxtable. Give Malcolm his due, even if it's only because he never showed the pain behind every smile he gave us on screen. This isn't just a throwback post, it's a documentary, a Hall of Fame induction, something to immortalize the life of a man who changed television. One fan tweet went viral. After years of hidden struggle, sources close to the late actor have now come forward to reveal that Malcolm had been dealing with serious health issues for at least the past year. While many believed he had quietly moved on from Hollywood, those close to him paint a very different picture, one of declining health, isolation, and a soul burdened by silence. Although the specific medical information has not been made public, there have been rumors that he had long-term heart problems exacerbated by stress, sleeplessness, and years of emotional trauma. According to a friend who wished to remain anonymous, he was always exhausted, always withdrawn, and he found his heartbeat amusing. Even though he was not involved in Bill Cosby's legal troubles, the tainted legacy affected everyone associated with the show. Those who loved him say Malcolm had been descending into depression, partly due to the long-lasting backlash from the Cosby Show scandal. He would abruptly cancel plans, and you could tell something was wrong, but he didn't want sympathy. Malcolm unfairly took the brunt of that, withdrawing from the industry, skipping reunions, avoiding fan conventions, and reportedly declining multiple interviews. According to one insider, he no longer wanted to discuss Theo because it was painful for him to see something so lovely turn so ugly in the eyes of the public and cut off from the outside world. People began to notice that he was cutting people off. By the beginning of 2025, even close friends and family were reportedly kept at a distance. He didn't post on social media, his phone went unanswered, and when he did appear in public, he appeared weak and hollow, as if everything had been taken away from him except his name. In his homage, Jaleel White acknowledged, "I hadn't heard from Malcolm for months. He stopped answering the phone. I ought to have exerted more effort." That statement struck a chord with followers, and many are now questioning whether the drowning tragedy was a plea for assistance that was not heard in time. What actually happened? On July 20, authorities in Los Angeles received reports of a man who was discovered unconscious near the pool of a private residence. It wasn't a party or a get-together. Malcolm was by himself. Emergency personnel arrived, but despite their best efforts, he was pronounced dead at the scene. At first, the incident was reported as a tragic drowning accident. Fans are now questioning more deeply, though. How did a healthy adult swimmer drown by himself? Was he taking medication? Did he have a heart attack? Or was it something more tragic? One source hinted, there's no evidence of foul play. However, those close to Malcolm are afraid to express their opinions, with some thinking it wasn't an accident. Police have not confirmed any suspicions, and the coroner's report is still awaiting toxicology results. That chilling statement has rekindled online conversations about mental health in black men, particularly those in the spotlight. Could Malcolm have been silently calling for peace? Could this have been an intentional escape? The man who once represented happiness, family, and youth now represents something even more profound, the cost of forgotten fame. If there is one thing that is evident in the wake of Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death, it is that he died feeling invisible, not by his fans, but by the industry, the media, and possibly even those closest to him.